Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be going over some severe storms which are currently rolling through the central and southern United States, and eventually later today into tomorrow they'll be heading into the Ohio Valley and the Northeast. We already have an enhanced risk out for parts of Texas for today, and we already have a couple tornado warnings currently in effect, with a tornado watch also in effect for southern Missouri as of right now. We're going to be giving you live updates as of what's happening right now, and also we're going to be timing this out for anybody who lives further east of the Mississippi River that's going to be impacted with these storms in the next coming hours and within the next 24 hours for most areas. Here's what the current National Weather Service page looks like, other than a few wind advisories in parts of Montana and also along the Gulf Coast. We really don't have a lot going on except for this area of flood watches in the green, which goes from Kentucky and Indiana all the way down to Texas and Oklahoma. And then we have in the darkest red some flash flood warnings, and that's where we're dealing with imminent flash flood concerns. So if you live within that area, make sure you are seeking higher ground. And always remember, turn around, don't drown. It's always best to just turn around, go and find a detour instead of going and trying to go through the water, because I believe only about 6 inches to a foot of water can actually just carry your car and kind of just pick it up. So water is very, very powerful, and you really don't want to mess with it. So the best scenario that you can really do is just try and find another way to get to whatever location you're looking for. And then we have one county which is currently under a tornado warning in southern Missouri. We're going to talk about that in a little bit more in the next coming minutes in this video. Yesterday we had a high temperature tide between three areas, all in southern Texas. Rio Grande Village, they got to 101 degrees Fahrenheit. So did Castellon, Texas, and 2 miles north of Cuyanosa, Texas. Sorry if I messed it up there. All of those areas got to 101 degrees Fahrenheit. The low temperature was in Wild Horse, Nevada, where they got to 11 degrees Fahrenheit. Burgess Junction, Wyoming, got a mix of rain and snow yesterday, mostly snow. And if you were to melt that down, you would get a liquid equivalent of 1.7 inches of rainfall. That was the highest precipitation report yesterday. And the highest snowfall report was both in Alta, Utah, but in different elevation locations. So both of them got to 13 inches. 8,799 feet elevation was one of the reports, and 9,662 feet elevation was the other report that we got out of northern Utah in the higher elevations, of course. So here's what the current radar looks like, and we're going to zoom in just a little bit. But you have a large area of fairly steady and actually heavy at times rainfall through eastern Oklahoma, northern Texas. We're even dealing with a few supercells and convective bands of precipitation, but it's really back through here where we're dealing with the most issues. So let's zoom in on that area right now. You can see this is where your tornado warning is right here. That looks like a powerful one. I think probably EF1, EF2, maybe a little bit stronger than that, because that is a well-developed hook echo and little band of heavy rainfall on the northern, eastern, and western side, with a little bit of dry air on the southern side of that. So this is where your tornado is right now. It's northwest of West Plains, it's east of Ava, Missouri, and it's southeast of Mansfield. Basically, if Route 63 were to go pretty much continue straight south, that's where that tornado currently is. So if you live within this general area, you do want to be seeking shelter. These storms are moving to the south and to the east, so if you live within the path of the storm, you really want to be taking shelter now and really preparing for that event. Check out the local radar on your local National Weather Service page. They have your radar site up, and you can check exactly where that storm is as of whenever you check that radar. They also have the updated tornado warning. So of course all this information is dated. I'm recording this right around 11:30 in the morning Central Time, so it's a little bit earlier than when you guys will be seeing this. I'm going to upload this in another probably 20 or 30 minutes of when I'm recording this. So here's what the current mesoscale discussion is. It was put up at 10:56 a.m. Today, and it's going to go out and expire by 2 p.m. And they're talking about tornado watch, which is already in effect. And they're talking about the extended threat of tornadoes with damaging winds potentially with those storms and tornadoes. Here's what the actual tornado watch looks looks like, and you can see it covers, I believe that would be 10 counties in southern Missouri and south central Missouri, just southeast of Springfield, Missouri, and north of Harrison, Arkansas. We have a moderate risk of tornadoes, a low risk of EF2 plus tornadoes, a moderate risk of severe wind, a low risk of 75-mile-per-hour plus wind, a moderate risk of severe hail, and a low risk of 2-inch plus hail. This was initiated right around 9:25 a.m. Central Time, and it should expire right around 3 p.m. Central Time. So the tornado threat will still linger for at least another couple hours in these areas in southern Missouri. Here's what the current NAM model run looks like, and this would be a radar, a Futurecast radar picture from around 1 p.m. today Central Time, and we're looking at those storms scattering out through southern Missouri and northern Arkansas. We do also see a bit of a lead wave of some convective activity through Illinois and Kentucky as well as Tennessee there, and as we continue this forward, you're going to see that we have all those storms continuing to push to the north. We have this first low pressure in New England, and then we have another one which is forming out of the southern United States, out of Texas, and eventually will be making a track further to the northeast. As we continue this forward, you're going to see that that low pressure heads to the north. We have a very convective and severe line of storms running from Texas all the way through Oklahoma, Missouri, Illinois, and even up through Indiana and northwestern Ohio. Through central Texas. We could be dealing with a couple of fairly severe and well-developed bands of rainfall and thunderstorms, and then moving this on a little bit more, here's by Thursday morning, so tomorrow morning, this is around 7 in the morning Central Time, 8 a.m. Eastern Time, and we're dealing with mostly convective storms to the south. So down here, along the Ohio River Valley, around the Ohio River Valley, and then back through areas like Arkansas and Missouri, we're dealing with those storms starting to wrap up in those areas. We have a little bit of mostly non-convective storms, might be mixed in with a little bit of thunder and lightning back through Ohio tomorrow morning. So if you are going to be driving out to work or to school, just be careful of that. Mostly just steady rain, but you will have a couple of pockets of heavier rain with some thunder and lightning. Not much hail or damaging winds really expected with those. The damaging wind and tornadoes and hail will and should stay to the south of there, most likely into the Tennessee Valley and areas like Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Missouri, Kansas, and generally those areas should stay into the more severe and convective bands of precipitation, and then it dies down. So the afternoon hours, we really don't have too much of a threat. You could be dealing with some pockets of heavier rain into the northeast, but really, the main threat of very convective and severe storms has really died down by this point. This is by tomorrow night. We are seeing a reignition of some storms, but it doesn't look like it's going to be too severe. So northern Pennsylvania, western PA, also into West Virginia, Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, all dealing with some sort of storminess, mostly just lightning and thunder, as well as some heavy rainfall, maybe some damaging winds along the way. But as you get into potentially Tennessee, northern Alabama, northern Mississippi, that's where it looks like you could be dealing with another threat of some more severe and more convective bands of rainfall and thunderstorms into tomorrow, and then that whole system continues to peruse further to the east, and eventually it will move out of here by Friday morning, most likely. So this is the amount of rainfall that is expected in total. In the yellows, that's where you're at 1+ inches of rainfall, 2 to 5 inches in the reds, 5 to 7 inches in the browns. So you can see that we have many areas, especially into the southern and central plains, that are dealing with 2+ inches of rainfall, even a few pockets of 5+ inches, and then mostly through the Ohio Valley and the Northeast, it's 1 or more inches of rainfall, and even some pockets of 2 or more inches of rainfall scattered throughout those areas. So potentially some localized ponding on the roadways and some flash flooding is possible in some of these areas as you get those storms to roll through. So this is the amount of CAPE or convective available potential energy in the atmosphere, and you can see that we have amounts for basically right now that are right around 500 to 1,000 CAPE, which is decent enough. You can still work with that, and that's definitely enough to spawn up some good, well-developed thunderstorms thunderstorms. By tonight, or tomorrow night, actually, it really does die down. So we're not dealing with as much in the way of energy by tomorrow afternoon and evening. And then by Friday, it would really be minuscule in the amount of cape that is still left over. Here's the high temperatures for today. And you can see that we have high temperatures that are in the 80s all throughout parts of the Gulf Coast, and then all the way up into the Mid-Atlantic as well, where we have some of those higher temperatures above 80 and 85 in a lot of those areas. And then you have 70-plus degree temperatures all throughout the Ohio Valley, the Tennessee Valley, Central and Southern Plains. So really, really warm atmosphere that we're taking part in right now. So it's a very, very warm pattern that we're in, and that's going to help fuel these storms. So really no shortage of warm air for today. Here's for tomorrow, and you can see that we have those warmer temperatures heading a little bit further to the east, but still for the areas that are going to be affected by severe weather, it's still all above at least 65 degrees, most areas above 75 degrees for tomorrow at the very least. So really warm temperatures, nothing to worry about in terms of the temperatures. Here's the dew points, and you can see that we have dew point temperatures right around 65 degrees in most of these areas, even getting above 70 in some of these areas further to the south, so such as parts of Tennessee, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, even some of those areas surrounding there is where we're dealing with those extremely high dew points that are going to allow those thunderstorms to develop quite nicely in those areas. This is by tomorrow early afternoon, and you can see the dew points. You have a little bit of invection of warm and moist air into parts of the northeast, so you can see those dew points sharply move up through parts of Pennsylvania and New Jersey up into the 60s, and then to the south of there, you actually have dew points into the 50s. So we are dealing with a little bit of warm air inversion through some of these areas, and that is allowing some of these storms to potentially develop. I think most of the storms should stay west of the Appalachians, so you move east of the Appalachians, and you're not going to be dealing with too much in the way of storminess. And it looks like the main threat again is going to be west of the Appalachian Mountains, and that's where we're going to be dealing with most of those thunderstorms. Here's the amount of precipitable water. So this is how much water is actually in the atmosphere at any one given time, and you can see mostly 1.5 to 2 inches plus in many of these areas into the central and southern plains, as well as the Tennessee and Ohio River Valley. So all these areas have ample amounts of moisture. Here's for tomorrow, and you can see that we have still ample amounts of moisture all throughout the eastern United States, with the exception of the southeast, which we aren't expecting any thunderstorms within those areas. So it looks like just very nice weather if you are able to miss out on the thunderstorms. Really looks like the best place to be is going to be in the southeast this week, where it's going to be nice, warm, and fairly dry for the most part in many of these areas. Even if you live further west or north of there where you get into the storms, it's only going to be really one day, and then it goes back to a nice dry warm pattern. So overall, it's very nice April temperatures. We're about to go into May, so really exciting in terms of the weather pattern. That is going to wrap it up for today's video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.